My primary responsibilities as a psychiatric PA is to collaborate with the psychiatrist that I work with, who is Dr. Luker. We are primarily responsible for medication management. We're seeing our res and PHP kids twice a week. We often do a lot of therapeutic interventions, though spending a lot of time getting to know kids outside of that time as well. I guess what I love most about my job is no 2 days are the same at Pathlight, but every morning we all get together as a team. We have what we call a safety huddle. So we go over any safety concerns that have arisen in the past 24 hours and then any predicted concerns in the next 24 hours. At least twice a week, the whole treatment team is sitting down and going through all of our patients. We're discussing kind of what each individual patient's goals look like, how each member of the treatment team is providing interventions to help get our patients to reach their goals. Just going over successes that they've had, challenges that they have. And we're always talking about next steps too, because we know our time with these kids is quite limited. So wanting to make sure that we're also setting them up for the best chance of success in the future. Something that we get to do a lot with adolescents is spending a lot of time with caregivers and families. So making sure that they're involved in treatment, because our ultimate goal is to get these kids back in their environment. So looping the parents in is something that's a huge part of our job too. Building rapport with my patients is one of my primary concerns. I don't feel as though that I can properly treat them if they don't feel comfortable with me or comfortable with Dr. Luker, I should say. We at least try to make sure that our kids are feeling comfortable with, at minimum, one of us. It's great if it's both of us, but I'm really trying to connect with them on just anything that they enjoy. I'm kind of going in with that mindset first of how can I make any kind of connection with these kids for them to feel more comfortable. We can get into, their history a little bit later. We have that time to do so. So really it's just trying to get to know them and their interests before diving into the stuff that can be really hard to talk about. Honestly, it's just seeing even 1 degree of change. I mean, these kids are coming to us in a really vulnerable state, whether this is their first time away from home, if they're with us in residential, or their first time in treatment. Even seeing them make 1 step in a new direction or 1 degree of change, I think that is why I show up to work every day, is just hoping that we can make even the slightest bit of difference with these kids. I have to say, working with a multidisciplinary team is one of my favorite parts of being a PA at Pathlight. I love being able to talk with the therapists, with the nursing staff, with our milieu coordinators who are the ones that are leading groups, and our behavioral health technicians who are supporting the kids 24/7. Hearing their feedback on how a kid is interacting with peers on the unit, or how they're interacting with staff, or just things they've noticed down to they didn't eat today or they slept really bad last night. Getting that feedback, I think, gives me a ton of insight that I might not have on my patients previously, and really helps drive the interventions that I'm making with these kids. I don't think that we would have any positive outcomes with patients if it wasn't for the collaboration of all of the disciplines that work here at Pathlight. I think all of my colleagues are there to not only support our adolescents, but also just each other that we work with. This can be a really difficult field to work in at times, and having those therapists that I work with, having the nurses, having our clinical leadership team there to just bounce ideas off of and support each other, I think is, again, like I said, one of the reasons I keep coming back and why I stay at Pathlight. Everyone is so supportive of each other, and I think that's very necessary in any field, but especially in what can be a very challenging field as well. I think my role at Pathlight and ERC has evolved quite a bit over the last 3 years. I came in as a new grad from PA school, so very timid and green, and over the last 3 years I have had the support of not only the psychiatry and physicians, but just so many people around me. So I think the last 3 years I've grown probably more in 3 years than I have my whole life. Especially starting your career, this is a great place to be. Like I said, you have a lot of autonomy, though also there's always someone there to bounce ideas off of. I think working with Pathlight and ERC, they give you a great opportunity for work-life balance. When I am off the clock, I am off the clock. I am not taking work home with me at night, and it's not expected to come home with me. My time off is my time off. I'm not getting called when I'm on PTO or on the weekends if I'm not, one of those psych providers on call that weekend. I think at Pathlight and ERC, we're all incredibly supportive of each other and our mental well-being. I think being around a bunch of therapists is also quite helpful. There's always someone to check in with you, whether they can tell that you're just maybe having an off day, or if I just say, hey, I really need someone to talk to today, there's usually about 10 different ears that will listen around. So I think we're all really supportive of that, and I'm always happy to be that person for someone else too.